For a long time, farmers have adopted integrated farming models combining livestock and crop cultivation to enhance productivity and economic efficiency, with the model of raising fish or shrimp in rice fields becoming popular in many Asian countries. However, the most prominent and successful model is arguably the integration of crab farming with rice cultivation in China. So today, join us as we explore how the crab rice integrated farming model has transformed the lives of Chinese farmers. Currently, the largest area for crab farming in rice fields in China is located in Panjin City, Liaoning Province, where over 10,000 farmers are implementing this model. According to statistics from the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs of China, the Rice Production Alliance in this region sells approximately 700,000 tons of rice annually, generating revenue of over 5 billion yuan, equivalent to more than $650 million. The crab farming area alone spans 1.7 million acres, with an annual output of about 75,000 tons of river crabs. These figures not only reflect impressive economic achievements but also demonstrate a sustainable and innovative approach to agriculture. So, how is this model implemented? Instead of using costly pesticides, weeding, or soil improvement methods, farmers simply dig small trenches or low-lying areas in the rice fields to create habitats for crabs, then release crab juveniles at the start of the rice season. The crabs forage naturally, moving gently in the water without harming the rice roots. Remarkably, this modification is done only once but can be used for multiple subsequent seasons, significantly reducing initial investment costs. After transplanting rice, farmers release crab juveniles, typically native Chinese river crabs, at an appropriate density to ensure both crabs and rice thrive without competing for resources. As the rice plants grow, they form a natural canopy, shielding the crabs from harsh sunlight and predators. In return, the crabs help eliminate insects, consume algae, and eat some weeds, naturally cleaning the rice fields without the need for chemical pesticides. Another interesting aspect is the crab's ability to forage effectively on their own. In the rice fields, they feed on weeds, plant residues, insects, and occasionally supplemental feed like crushed snails or small fish provided by farmers. As a result, the cost of raising crabs is minimal compared to other intensive farming methods. The growth cycle of rice, spanning 3 to 4 months, aligns with the time it takes for crabs to reach marketable size. Rice is harvested first, after which farmers drain the fields to make crab collection easier. Since crabs have high commercial value, harvesting is done carefully to avoid breaking their claws or legs, ensuring the quality of the final product. On average, farmers can cultivate 2 rice crops per year, equivalent to 2 crab cycles, doubling their income from the same land area. According to local farmers, each mu of rice field can yield about 100 kilograms of river crabs, equivalent to roughly 7,000 crabs. Moreover, because crab farming requires minimizing chemical fertilizers and pesticides, the entire field is cultivated in a natural, organic manner. This significantly improves the quality of the rice, transforming it into organic rice, a highly sought-after product in China's domestic market. Beyond its economic benefits, river crabs hold immense culinary value. Each autumn, hairy crabs become highly coveted, with premium restaurants in Shanghai, Beijing, and Guangzhou serving them at $40, $100 per dish. Top-quality crabs, large and rich with roe, can even command up to $200 per serving. Moreover, in the face of climate change, droughts, and global food security threats, the rice crab aquaculture model is gaining traction as a sustainable solution, not only in China but also spreading to Southeast Asian nations like Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia, and India, where traditional wet rice farming thrives. And that's a wrap for the video. What are your thoughts on this model? I'd love to hear your insights. Share your opinions or experiences with similar farming practices. If you enjoyed this, please like, share, and follow for more content.
In recent years, the United States has been having a headache with newly introduced invasive species, of which hairy crabs are one of the fastest spreading species in swamp areas. While Americans are launching a movement to control hairy crabs, a part of Chinese residents also want to come to the US to help their country destroy this invasive species. Today, join us to explore the role of hairy crabs in America and China. Thousands of years ago, the field crab farming industry developed in China. They were considered one of the dishes for aristocrats and landlord families. To this day, the Suzhou and Songjiang areas have become the most famous freshwater crab production areas, inseparable from the development of lakes and fields. The cost of each hairy crab can be up to 60 yuan, about $10 each, and depends on the season. Because the weather in regions changes with the seasons, it is difficult for the hairy crab farming industry to raise it all year round, so out-of-season hairy crabs will be more expensive. Hairy crab farming is an important industry in some parts of China, especially around Yangcheng Lake, which is famous for producing some of the most prized varieties of hairy crab. The brand value of hairy crab in China reaches more than $20 billion every year. However, the number of crabs is still not enough to serve demand because the consumption is very large. Demand for hairy crabs is so high that they are often ordered weeks in advance during peak season. Popularity extends beyond China, with exports to other countries with large Chinese communities. Hairy crabs are usually the size of a palm. They are larger than some other crab species and have more delicious meat quality. The crab farming and processing industry in China also helps create jobs and economic growth for millions of people in China. In short, hairy crab is not just a seafood species, it is also a hallmark of culinary tradition and a luxury dish of considerable social and economic importance. Despite its economic and social importance in China, when introduced to the US, hairy crabs are considered one of the species that negatively affects the aquaculture industry in the US. Chinese hairy crabs were first developed in the San Francisco Bay Area in the early 1990s. They have since spread to many rivers and estuaries along the West Coast and have also been discovered in the Great Lakes and Mississippi River region. In areas where hairy crabs are abundant, their burrowing can damage irrigation systems, affecting agricultural productivity and increasing maintenance costs. Additionally, crabs can become entangled in fishing gear such as nets and traps, which can reduce the effectiveness of commercial and recreational fisheries. In some cases, fishermen have reported significant losses due to damage to fishing gear caused by hairy crabs. In addition to affecting agriculture, hairy crabs also compete with other native species because they are opportunistic feeders, consuming a variety of plants and animals. They compete with native species such as fish and other crustaceans for food and habitat, potentially leading to declines in native populations. In some cases, Chinese hairy crabs may prey on endangered or threatened species, further exacerbating their decline. In recent years, the United States has taken measures to prevent the number and population of hairy crabs, but it is difficult to eradicate due to the species' very high reproductive rate, diverse diet, and ability to survive in many different environments. Efforts to control hairy crab populations have had only limited success. In response to the invasive threat, the United States has implemented regulations prohibiting the importation, transportation, and possession of live Chinese hairy crabs. Enforcement of these regulations is critical to prevent new introductions and limit the spread of existing populations. Faced with that situation, thousands of Chinese people have offered to come to America to help them destroy hairy crabs. And they were also very surprised when in their country, hairy crabs were very expensive and popular, but in America, they could only be thrown away. So, why don't Americans eat hairy crabs? In a long tradition, Americans do not eat hairy crabs, so the demand for hairy crabs among American consumers is very low. They tend to prefer other types of seafood. Without strong consumer interest, suppliers will not have much incentive to introduce hairy crab to the market. In addition, wild catches can accumulate contaminants such as heavy metals, pesticides, or other contaminants, especially in areas where they are invasive. This raises food safety concerns, making them a less attractive choice for consumption. Besides, hairy crabs have also been studied to contain parasites that are harmful to human health. Therefore, the vast majority of Americans do not eat hairy crab.
Can you imagine? Giant mud crabs, used to living in coastal swamps, where the soil is flooded with salt and brackish water, are now being raised in plastic boxes. That's right, not in ponds, not in the sea, but in rectangular plastic boxes, less than a square meter wide, stacked on top of each other like in a modern factory. At first glance, this model does not sound very promising. But in fact, this is the aquaculture revolution that is exploding across Southeast Asia, especially in countries like Indonesia, Vietnam, and Thailand. This model not only helps increase productivity, save costs, but also brings farmers closer to technology and high-end export markets. Is this true or not? Please join me in exploring it in the following video. Mud crabs are one of the most valuable seafood species in Asia today. They can weigh up to 1.5–2 kilograms each, have thick meat and lots of roe, very popular in high-end restaurants in China, Korea, and Japan. Each kilogram of mud crab costs from $15–30 USD, while special crabs can reach $35–40 USD kg in the export market. An adult crab can be sold for $25–60 US each depending on size and male-female. Because of such high value, the mud crab farming model is always attractive to coastal people. However, crab farming is not easy. Traditional farming in ponds or mangrove forests requires large areas, requires a lot of effort and faces many risks. Changing salinity, heavy rains, high tides, or sudden diseases can wipe out the whole crop. Since around 2018, some farmers in Southeast Asia have invented a completely new way of farming crabs, raising mud crabs in separate plastic boxes. Initially, this model was met with skepticism, but after a few successful cases, it proved its breakthrough potential and was quickly replicated. Interestingly, mud crabs do not need to swim much. They are solitary creatures, often digging holes and lying still in moist mud. Therefore, when placed in separate boxes, with water, mud, and ventilated lids, they still grow well, even reducing the mortality rate due to fighting or territorial disputes. Each box is about 40 by 60 by 30 centimeters in size, containing a thin layer of mud and about 5–10 centimeters of salt water, with a salinity maintained at 15–25 parts per thousand. Each box only holds one crab, and the boxes are arranged in rows or stacked on shelves in greenhouses or workshops. A small model with an area of about 500 square meters can contain up to 3,000 boxes, equivalent to the productivity of 5–7 hectares of traditional ponds. It is undeniable that raising crabs in plastic boxes brings many outstanding advantages. Saving space. From a small area of land, farmers can achieve productivity many times higher than traditional pond farming. Strict control. Each crab is monitored separately, easy to detect diseases, easy to intervene, easy to monitor the molting process. Reducing loss rate. No more crabs fighting and eating each other. This is the biggest reason why the mortality rate in traditional ponds is as high as 30–40%. Flexible year-round harvesting, not dependent on the season or harsh natural conditions. However, this model also has certain challenges. High initial investment cost. To set up a model of about 1,000 boxes, it requires capital of about $2,000 to $6,000, including the cost of buying boxes, water filtration system, oxygen generation, and building a net house. High technical requirements. Farmers must be knowledgeable about salinity, temperature, water pH, nutrition, because even small deviations can cause crabs to grow slowly or die en masse. Time-consuming care. Without an automated system, water changes, feeding, molting monitoring must be done manually. However, with profits of up to 300–500 USD superscript 2 per year, this model is still very attractive, especially for young, knowledgeable farmers who are ready to access technology. Today, the model of raising mud crabs in plastic boxes is being encouraged to expand in many localities. Not only in Vietnam, but also in countries such as Indonesia, the Philippines, Thailand, and India. They are racing to replicate this high-tech model. Some large enterprises in the agricultural sector such as CP, green feed, or aquaculture technology startups have begun to invest in the crab factory model in the direction of automation, feeding robots, monitoring sensors, and online sales to domestic and international restaurants. In particular, this model is also expected to be a solution for barren lands, saline intruded lands that cannot be cultivated, but can still raise crabs in boxes with artificial seawater, helping to create sustainable income for thousands of households.
In recent years, the aquaculture model combined with livestock farming has been increasingly expanded in many areas around the world, in which Vietnam is most famous for shrimp farming combined with rice cultivation in coastal mangrove areas. How does this farming model bring profits to farmers? Let's explore with us right now. The rice shrimp model is becoming a sustainable trend in many coastal provinces in Vietnam, such as Cà Mau, Bac Lieu, Kiên Giang, and Soc Trang. Farmers have taken advantage of the natural ecosystem of rice to develop shrimp farming, helping them earn profits of up to tens of thousands of dollars per year. Farmers who combine rice and shrimp farming say they can earn from 1 billion to 2 billion VND per year, equivalent to about 40,000 to 80,000 US dollars on an area of 5 to 10 hectares thanks to this model. For large-scale farming, many farmers can combine shrimp farming and rice farming on a large area. This model combines shrimp farming in the saltwater season and rice farming in the freshwater season according to the natural cycle. In the dry season, saltwater from the sea flows into the fields. Farmers will raise tiger shrimp or white-leg shrimp. In the rainy season, when the fresh water rises and the salinity decreases, people will grow rice on the land where shrimp were previously raised. This conversion helps limit disease, reduce the cost of fertilizers and pesticides, and improve the soil regime. After planting rice, farmers need to monitor water quality, adjust salinity appropriately, and not use too many chemicals to maintain a balanced ecosystem. During the growth process, shrimp eat insects that are harmful to rice plants. In return, shrimp waste becomes an organic source of nutrients that helps rice grow better. Farmers only need to apply a small amount of fertilizer to meet the growth needs of rice plants. Shrimp are harvested before the rainy season, then the land is plowed and rice is planted. Rice is harvested at the end of the rainy season, creating conditions for the next shrimp crop. With this perfect combination, farmers can increase their income from a specific cultivated area without much cost. It also brings many advantages that traditional farming activities do not have. The development of integrated shrimp farming in rice fields helps improve economic efficiency for farmers. In addition to income from shrimp, farmers also gain profit from rice, helping to diversify their income sources. According to the report, each hectare can bring in an average profit of $4,000 to $7,000 per year, higher than pure rice farming or single shrimp farming. Tiger shrimp and white-leg shrimp raised in rice fields have higher value due to less use of antibiotics and chemicals, meeting export standards. In addition, rice grown after shrimp harvest has the effect of improving the soil. The rice will absorb excess nutrients from shrimp waste, thereby growing faster and helping to reduce environmental pollution. This combined model helps prevent land degradation like industrial shrimp farming, helping to limit the phenomenon of long-term salinization of the soil. In addition, this model also helps maintain the natural ecosystem, not causing imbalance in the living environment. Rice shrimp farmers say that this combination helps limit diseases, giving pathogens less opportunity to develop and reducing the risk of disease spreading. Furthermore, limiting the use of pesticides and chemicals helps reduce the risk of toxic residues in the product, ensuring food safety. In recent years, aquaculture has faced challenges from climate change. However, the shrimp farming model combined with rice cultivation has adapted to climate change, especially in extreme weather conditions such as prolonged drought and salinity or rising sea levels. Flexible water systems help farmers easily adjust to each crop season, limiting the risk of crop failure. If farming is sustainable, it can help stabilize national food security and the lives of local communities, helping thousands of farmers escape poverty. Although there are many advantages, experts say the biggest challenge for farmers is that the survival rate of shrimp is not high, the stocking density is low, so the productivity is lower than industrial shrimp farming, so the market for shrimp and rice is still limited. In the future, this shrimp farming model can develop and expand to many regions around the world.